China is facing one of its largest floods in history. Almost one-fourth of the country is now suffering from floods caused by severe and ongoing rainstorms. Photos of disasters across the country are appearing on social media. That makes people wonder again, could the Three Gorges Dam, one of the largest dams in the world, hold up to this challenge? On June 22, the China Observatory issued a warning that the heaviest rainfall since the flood season began would occur from June 22 to 25. Chongqing, Zhejiang, a city in Sichuan province, just experienced its biggest flood since 1940. The water levels there had exceeded the safety level by 4 meters on average. At least 40,000 residents have evacuated. The ongoing rainstorm has brought suffering to at least 6 provinces in southern China. China has more than 87,000 dams and one of the world's largest dam, the Three Gorges Dam. Since last week, Chinese people posted videos and photos of mass mud and landslides, claiming that several smaller dams had overflowed or collapsed already. However, Chinese officials denied this and claimed that the dams were working fine. Related content concerning the crisis has been removed from China's social media platforms. Three Gorges Dam once again become the focus of attention. Beijing's official media reported on June 21 that, on the previous day, the flow of the dam had increased to 26,500 cubic meters per second. When compared to the day before, there is an increase of 6,000 cubic meters per second. The current water level in the reservoir is close to 147 meters, exceeding the flood control limit by nearly 2 meters. The only source of information for the dam is via China's official channels, as the area is under strict military control. Former China water expert, Dr. Wang Weiluo said, the CCP had claimed the purpose of the dam was to control flood, but its real purpose was to generate electricity and to be able to claim the so-called world's largest dam. In the beginning, many Chinese scientists refused to support the project because they were worried about the feasibility of the flood control mechanism. However, they were suppressed by the CCP government and were silenced for years. When asked if the Three Gorges Dam could possibly collapse, Wang Weiluo replied, "The risk is always there. China has the highest rate of dam collapse in the world, more than double the world average, because of 3 reasons: dam design errors, poor engineering quality and operational errors." He said, the government had kept a low profile, but no matter there is an immediate risk or not, Chinese people have the right to know the truth, and the words from scientists should not be hidden or suppressed. According to GIS calculations, if the Three Gorges Dam collapses or floods at 100% capacity, the flood will reach Yichang in half an hour. The water in Yichang will flow at a speed of 65 km per hour, for at least 4 hours. Yichang will be submerged under 20 meters of water. The loss of human life in Yichang alone will be 500,000. The peak of the flood will reach Wuhan within 10 hours and Nanjing within a day. It is still too early to predict how many casualties could be caused. Some opinions also noted that the world is calling for the investigation on the origin of the COVID-19 pandemic, and many evidence points to Wuhan.
An investigation of how this happened to the world.
Out of common sense, and I think in Australia's national interest.
However, if the Three Gorges Dam collapses or floods at full capacity, Wuhan, where the P4 laboratory locates, will be flooded and critical evidence could be destroyed. In 2014, Chinese media reported that over the past 20 years, Chinese people had handed over approximately $63 billion to the Three Gorges Dam. At least 16 million people have been displaced from their hometowns, and 10 million of them are living in poverty. In terms of river ecology, the free-flowing waterways have been cut off, plants have died, fish cannot migrate and reproduce, and many cherished species have been lost, including many indigenous species. Despite huge costs, according to an official report, the amount of concrete poured and the amount of steel frame used in the main body of the dam is about 1,000 cubic meters to only 16.5 kilograms of steel, which is equivalent to inserting 80 pairs of chopsticks per cubic meter of concrete, far from the standards expected for such a large project. Huang Wanli, former professor of the Department of Water Resources at Tsinghua University, warned in 1957 about the potential disaster if the dam was built. However, Huang was persecuted in the Cultural Revolution and was sent to the dam's site to dig toilets. In 1992, Huang wrote again to Jiang Zemin, then General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party, 3 times, saying, "The Yangtze River, one of the largest rivers in the world, and the largest reservoir in China, the government has organized this project which will be a calamity to the nation and the people. If it is built, it will eventually be forced to blow up. It turned out that Huang Wanli was right. In 2005, 1.5 years after the dam was completed, problems such as heavy siltation in the reservoir and alkalinization of soil salts gradually emerged. In fact, on June 11, China's Ministry of Water Resources held a press conference. Vice Minister Yi Jianchun put forward the three fears, which were the historical flooding, the quality of the dam, and the potential of mass landslides. He also said that the existing projects can protect against the floods since the founding of the country, but the risk of the superflooding is beyond level. This is the first time that China's official department admitted the uncertainty of the dam's capability. What Chinese people fear is not only the dam failure. In 1975, Henan province was hit by Typhoon Nina and the aftermath was the collapse of 62 dams, including the largest Banqiao Dam. Most of the dams that collapsed in this disaster were built with the help of the Soviet Union or during the Chinese Great Leap Forward movement. The dam collapsed during the Chinese Cultural Revolution. No resources or measures were taken to control the floods or rescue people. After the disaster, the Communist Party of China and the Chinese government remained silent to the public, while no media were allowed to make reports. The official documents of this disaster were considered a state secret until 2005 when they were declassified. Chinese and overseas scientists estimated 85,600 to 240,000 casualties were caused by the dam failure, while the CCP government claimed only 26,000 people were deceased.
Massive flooding is creating a waterfall in a local Chinese market. The heavy rains drenching southern China expected to last 10 days. Authorities say flood control is now at a critical stage. For weeks, Beijing has been reporting on virus clusters in the capital, but are the figures trustworthy? An expert helps shed light on the numbers. The European Union is adopting new rules to protect its companies against subsidized foreign competitors. The move will cut down activities of Chinese state-owned companies operating in Europe. And China warning the U.S. against deploying intermediate-range missiles in the Indo-Pacific region. This after reports of U.S. negotiations with Japan. Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Inside one neighborhood in Beijing, a group of workers are seen sealing a building's entrance. Medical staff wearing protective suits appear to be overseeing the job. Video shows occasional flashes of the residents inside the building. Beijing, China's capital city, seems to be turning into a second Wuhan. People are locked inside their own homes. Authorities say it's to control the pandemic. After the workers are finished, the entrance appears to have an airtight seal. A man inside is seen looking out from the second floor. One netizen took to social media to comment on the containment approach, calling it stupid and unacceptable. He questioned whether the goal was to eliminate the residents living there and asked what would happen if an elderly person or child inside the building needed to see a doctor. Another user asked what would happen if the building's fire alarm went off. According to the Chinese Communist Party's official media outlet, a virus patient had recently been in the neighborhood before his diagnosis. Confirmed cases also have been found at a nearby market only 10 minutes walk from the neighborhood. 10 neighborhoods in the surrounding area have also been locked down. In recent days, only a handful of medical teams traveled to Beijing to help fight the virus. But now 20 medical teams from 12 different provinces are headed there to help. According to reports, over 400,000 Beijing citizens per day can now be tested, and the number is still rising. But at the same time, not a single report from China has verified the accuracy of the testing kits. The virus has emerged in a special hospital inside Beijing. It's the designated hospital for the Communist Party leaders and the military, including the 7 members of the party's Standing Politburo Committee. That's the lawmaking panel that rules China, with leader Xi Jinping as its head. A resident from one Beijing neighborhood, home to military staff and their families, told us that the number 301 military hospital was hit by the virus. One nearby neighborhood was also impacted. He showed us an internal notice explaining that virus patients have now been discovered in many military camps due to the outbreak at the hospital. Messages about the hospital outbreak are circulating on social media. Speculation is rising that some Communist Party leaders may be infected. The focus is on one of the Politburo Committee's 7 members who nearly disappeared from Chinese media in June. There is no official explanation for the absence. The official is responsible for discipline inspection for the party's anti-corruption work. Chinese authorities have since issued a notice calling the information about virus cases in that hospital a rumor. For weeks, China has once again been reporting virus clusters in Beijing. But are the official figures trustworthy? And where did the second wave come from? We spoke with an expert for answers.
Beijing city authorities claim that since June, over 200 cases of the CCP virus have been found in Beijing so far. The entire capital city and its population of over 20 million people have been under lockdown and what's called wartime status for days now. Roads are blocked, most flights are suspended, schools and shops are once again closed. To shed some light on the situation, we spoke with former U.S. Army microbiologist and former lab director of the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research Viral Disease Branch, Sean Lin. Lin told us Beijing's strict protective measures tell a different story than the official narrative. He says they indicate that the situation in Beijing is much worse than the around 200 patients authorities have reported.
For so few cases, there's no need to block roads and put the whole city, all the neighborhoods under lockdown. Once these measures are applied, there must be at least thousands of cases in the city.
At a market in Beijing, the virus was reportedly detected on cutting boards used to slice salmon. The fish was mainly imported from European countries. As a result, Chinese authorities restricted salmon imports and some cities ordered businesses to destroy salmon products. But due to the biological differences between humans and fish, it's almost impossible for a virus to jump directly from one to the other.
Fish, shrimp, these aquatic products, their viruses can rarely be transmitted to people because it has to adapt to the human body. There is a big gap between them. It's not a simple matter.
The Chinese regime says the genome sequence of the virus from Beijing's second wave has mutated and is now very similar to the virus from Europe. Therefore, officials claim Beijing's outbreak likely came from Europe. But Lin says it's too early to make that kind of conclusion. That's because due to the regime's cover-up of the pandemic, the virus from Beijing can't be compared with the virus found in other parts of China.
Since January, Chinese authorities have discouraged China's epidemic prevention departments or research institutions from performing genome sequencing. And we can see that in the gene bank after February and March, China has provided less and less test data.
Lin said he believes the virus never disappeared from China, despite the fact that the regime has been reporting 0 new virus cases for months.
People know nothing about the mutation of the virus in China. Very likely it has already mutated. In Wuhan, the virus never disappeared. The virus has been spreading among the Chinese population all this time.
Reporting by Sarah Liang, NTD News.
The heavy rainfall that soaked a vast area in southern China is hitting a new high today. State authorities say the emergency rescue efforts are now at a critical stage. NTD's Juliet Song has more.
A video surfacing online shows a local market in southwestern China overflowing with floodwater. The water pouring into the river below, making a waterfall. China's longest river is entering flood season. State authorities say flood control and emergency rescue efforts are now at a critical stage. Since the beginning of June, southern China has been hit with 5 rounds of heavy rain, and some areas are seeing their worst flooding in decades. China's southwestern Guizhou province is among the worst hit. Floods have submerged villages in the mountains. A local resident said the floods triggered a mudslide.
Some houses were washed away. There's probably not much crop to harvest this year.
The rainstorm is expected to hit a new high this Thursday and to continue for the next 10 days. A Chinese water resources official says several of China's largest rivers could see flooding exceeding the warning level in the coming days. He said flood control is in a dire situation. Reporting by Yiru and Juliet Song, NTD News.